Chinese, growing numbers of whom believe that the U.S. and other countries want to impede their country's ascent. These developments threaten to undermine a relationship that, over more than 4 decades, has made substantial contributions to economic growth, job creation, and prosperity in both countries, while enhancing international security, not least through helping to fashion a peaceful end to the Cold War. Now, no shortage of Americans wonder, what do the Chinese really want? Why are they spending so much money on their military? Are they friends or enemies? Trading partners or commercial and geopolitical adversaries? In short, how do we deal with China? This audiobook is my attempt to address these concerns through stories of my personal experience in working with the Chinese to get things done. I'm not a scholar or theorist. I don't read, write, or speak Chinese. I'm a businessman who brings a first-hand knowledge of China and its corporate and political leaders. I have gleaned this over more than 100 visits to the country and nearly 25 years of dealing with Chinese officials on commercial matters while at Goldman Sachs, on affairs of state and macroeconomic policy while U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, and nowadays as head of the Paulson Institute, which promotes sustainable economic growth and a cleaner environment through greater cooperation between the U.S. and China. During that time, I've had the opportunity to work closely with the most senior leaders of the last 3 administrations in China, Jiang Zemin and Zhu Rongji in the 1990s, Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabo beginning in the early years of this century, and Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang today. I write as an American who is deeply concerned about our country's standing in the world, the health of our economy and our environment, and the long-term prospects of our citizens. I take the view that all of these will benefit from active engagement with China, that clear-eyed, constructive cooperation is the best way to advance our national interest. The Chinese are formidable competitors, but we should not fear competition or shrink from it. I've held this conviction for a long time. Within weeks of being sworn in as Treasury Secretary, I traveled to China to lay the groundwork for a new approach to our most important bilateral relationship. Growth and economic reform were China's dominant concerns, and I believed we could leverage our newly conceived strategic economic dialogue to more effectively manage many other pressing matters as well. China's rise has spawned a misconception that haunts the way some in both countries view our relationship, namely that the China model represents a better form of capitalism that is triumphing even as the U.S. fades into decline. In fact, China's leaders know only too well their country's vulnerabilities. Market reforms first began under Deng Xiaoping in 1978. But expanding their reach and impact is more important than ever to the leadership. For all of its success, China has a long way to go. More than 100 million of its people remain mired in poverty. Its per capita GDP ranks 80th in the world. That's just one place ahead of Iraq, and roughly 1/8 our level. China needs to shift its $10 trillion economy from an over-reliance on exports and inefficient government investment in infrastructure, fueled by ominously rising debts at all levels of regional government, toward increased domestic consumption and a greater emphasis on service industries and high-end manufacturing. That's an enormous task, complicated by the fact that much of the economy remains under the thumb of central planners, even after years of reform. Entrenched interests are resisting further changes. Meantime, years of not-so-benign neglect have left the environment a near disaster that has sparked growing restiveness among China's citizens. And while there's much we must do to fix our own house, the U.S. remains the world's biggest, most advanced, and most dynamic economy. China's leaders understand that to further